Imagine a night where the line between the living and the dead blurs, where magic and mystery reign supreme. Welcome to Halloween, a time that takes us back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celts, who occupied the lands we now know as Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France. On the eve of November 1st, they celebrated Samhain, marking the end of the harvest season and the onset of the grueling winter. It was a time they believed the boundaries between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. The Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for their druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. These prophecies were an important source of comfort and direction during the long, dark winter, and so began a tradition born from fear and respect for the unknown that would evolve into the Halloween we know today. As centuries passed, Halloween, like a shapeshifter, changed and adapted, absorbing elements from various cultures and religions. Now let's take a journey through time and see how Halloween has transformed over the centuries. It started as Samhain, a Celtic festival marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time when the Celts believed the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. But as the Roman Empire expanded, it brought its own festivals into the mix. Feralia, a late February event, was a public festival commemorating the passing of the dead. The Romans would make offerings at the graves, a ritual not dissimilar to the Samhain traditions of the Celts. Then there was Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol was the apple, which might explain why bobbing for apples became a popular Halloween game. As the centuries rolled on, Christian traditions began to intertwine with the pagan festival. The early Christian church, seeking to replace pagan festivals with their own, instituted All Saints' Day on November 1st. This was a day to honor all the saints who didn't have a specific day of recognition. Then, on November 2nd, they celebrated All Souls' Day, a time for honoring the dead. It's interesting to note how these Christian holidays echoed the themes of Samhain. All Hallows' Eve, the evening before All Saints' Day, became a holy day of obligation, and over time, the name was shortened to what we now know as Halloween. So, you see, Halloween was always a kind of crossroads, a place where different beliefs met and mingled. The Romans, the Celts, the Christians, they all added their own ingredients to the cauldron. Halloween had become a melting pot of traditions, where old beliefs and new faiths simmered together. And as we'll see in the next part of our journey, when Halloween crossed the Atlantic to America, the pot was stirred yet again, blending even more traditions into the celebration we know today. When the festival crossed the Atlantic and reached America, it found a new identity. The roots of American Halloween can be traced back to the mid-19th century, when waves of Irish and Scottish immigrants set foot on American soil. Fleeing famine and seeking a fresh start, they brought with them an ancient Celtic festival, ripe for transformation in this new land. This festival, Samhain, was a time to ward off ghosts and spirits, a tradition that found fertile ground in America's melting pot of cultures. As the festival took root, the practices started to evolve. The tradition of mumming, where people would go door to door in costume, reciting verses or songs in exchange for food, began to morph into what we now know as trick-or-treating. It was no longer just about warding off evil spirits. It became a fun and playful activity for children, who would dress up in costumes and knock on their neighbors' doors, asking for treats. But the Americanization of Halloween was not just about adopting and adapting old traditions, it was also about creating new ones. The idea of carving pumpkins, for instance, was uniquely American. The Irish and Scottish originally used turnips, but upon discovering the abundance of pumpkins in America, they quickly shifted to these larger, easier-to-carve vegetables. The jack-o'-lantern was born, adding another iconic symbol to the Halloween tradition. Over the years, Halloween in America evolved into a community-centered holiday. It became less about supernatural fears and more about coming together as a community. Towns would organize parades and public gatherings. Households would compete in decorating their homes with the spookiest designs, and children would roam the streets in packs, their laughter echoing through the crisp autumn night. The Americanization of Halloween was a process of transformation and assimilation, taking an old tradition and molding it to fit the ethos of a new society. It was about creating a sense of community and shared experiences, about embracing the fun and the fright, and about letting the imagination run wild if only for one night a year. Halloween had transformed yet again, this time into a celebration of community and camaraderie. Fast forward to the present day, Halloween has become a global phenomenon, a night of fun, fright, and festivities. It's a celebration that transcends cultural boundaries, with its commercial appeal making it a major event in the global calendar. From the United States to Japan, from Australia to Germany, Halloween is more than just a single night. It's a season, marked by pumpkin patches, haunted house attractions, and costume parties. The spooky holiday has found its way into every corner of the world, each place putting its unique spin on the celebrations. Commercialization has played a significant role in shaping Halloween as we know it today. The holiday has morphed from a solemn ritual to a multi-billion-dollar industry, driven by candy sales, costumes, and decorations. It's estimated that Americans alone spend over $9 billion on Halloween each year. That's a lot of candy corn and plastic pumpkins. But beneath the commercial glitz and glam, Halloween remains a time for community and creativity. It's a chance for people to express themselves through elaborate costumes and decorations. From carving pumpkins to creating haunted houses, the traditions associated with Halloween continue to evolve, reflecting the imaginative spirit of those who celebrate it. From a night of fear and respect for the dead, Halloween has turned into a celebration of life and creativity. As we revel in the festivities of Halloween, it's worth pondering on its historical journey. Tracing its roots back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, Halloween has morphed into a global phenomenon, a night of both fright and delight that transcends cultural boundaries. It's a remarkable transformation, from a solemn ritual to a celebration of all things spooky. How has this evolution of Halloween, from a solemn ritual to a celebration of all things spooky, shaped our understanding and perception of life, death, and everything in between?